I hope you're sitting down because what I'm about to show you is totally nuts and I think you're going to like it. So if you're not sitting down, have a seat and let's go. Because what I'm about to share is a new AI strategy that will help you boost sales to any of your digital products, okay? And in today's video, I'm going to be using an Etsy listing as an example, and we are going to use something called ChatGPT Atlas. This is the nuttiest tool I've explored yet. If you thought AI was saving you time before, wait till you see how this works. So, this is the easiest way to up-level your online business, so let's get started. It's all going to just take 3 steps, okay? 3 is a good number, and so what we're going to do are 3 steps that actually will help you boost sales, all right? Any one of these will help a little bit, but the 3 of them together is like, all right? So let's jump in. Introducing ChatGPT Atlas. So this is something which is a browser, and you can just search it up online, okay? So like if you just say Atlas in Google, like you can basically go over there to their webpage and then you can download it. Now, I think at the moment it might only be available on Mac as a download for a browser, but I'm not sure on that. Now, the way it works is kind of like Chrome. It's a little different. You can import over your like bookmarks and stuff like that if you want to. And then it basically is like ChatGPT plus browser. So you've got tabs. And even though you don't see it up here, like you can click and like type in, you know, a web address or whatever and go to that site. And then I guess where the power really comes in is when you make a search or do something, right? So here's the listing we're going to look at in Etsy. Then you'll see this little button over here that says Ask ChatGPT. So you can click that. And now what's cool is it's basically going to be looking at this same page that you're looking at. Let's dive in. What do you say? All right, so the first thing we're going to do is basically check out the page or listing. Now this, I say page here because this could also apply very easily to a website. So certainly if you're watching this and you're more like doing stuff from a website like a small business or you've got a Shopify store, don't feel like this, what I'm about to show you just because I use a Etsy listing as an example, is like what this is limited to. Don't feel that way because it's not. Okay, you could use this on a web page and follow these exact same 3 steps and get the same output and benefit from it, okay? We're gonna start by making our listing more appealing. Now, step 2 is gonna do something that's even more crazy, and then step 3 is really where we like get this thing to take off, all right? So the 3 of these together not only help sales and everything, but it also helps you stay focused as a business owner on kind of what matters, all right? So if your listing isn't doing super well or as well as you wanted, like this is for you, right? All right, so let's follow these 3 steps. This first one is called page appeal. And what we're gonna say is, hey, why don't you look at my page, right? This could be a web page or whatever. And can you tell me what's being offered? All right, so instead of like maybe what you're used to with a lot of videos on YouTube and a lot of instructions you find online with AI, instead of saying, how can I make my listing more appealing? The first thing we're gonna do is get a sense from ChatGPT, a totally independent thing, right? And have it tell us what it sees. So when it comes back and gives us an answer, there's gonna be a lot of valuable information there. And you know, we might find that what we thought was a really clear listing isn't quite as clear as we thought it was to our customer, right? And that's kind of the first thing we're looking at here. Okay, so let's bounce over to Atlas. Boom. I am going to paste that in our little, look at this page, my listing. All right, can you tell me what's being offered? So now where I was talking earlier about the time savings with Atlas over regular AI is like in the past when you wanted to do this kind of analysis, some AIs you can link to stuff, right? You don't really know how well they're reading the page. This is like really specific because it can see it with me. In the past, like what I've always done to get the highest quality is like I've uploaded PDFs, but this saves me a huge step there, right? Like I don't have to PDF it, I don't have to save a PDF and all of that, right? So here's what it is, here's what it helps with, who it's for, attorneys and estate planners, and benefits shown, okay? So now right away, you know, of course AI always does this, it's always helping, right? It's always trying to help. If you want, I can rewrite the listing, but let's go back over here to our whiteboard, all right, and just say, the next thing I want to learn is what my readers' objections might be. Like, so the thing that I want to find out next is, am I doing a good job in my listing of covering off all of the objections that my prospect might have about buying my product, okay? And again, like this could apply to your web page, doesn't have to just be an Etsy listing. But why these objections are important is because like every objection that your prospect has that isn't answered here is something where it's like, it makes them pause. And then they think, okay, do I have to reach out to them to ask this question? It interrupts the sales process. And so you want to do as good a job as you can in any sales page, any website, anything where you're selling stuff, of kind of handling all the objections that come up. All right, so let's copy that and let's bounce back over here to Atlas. All right, I'm just gonna paste that in. So you see, like, I'm kind of like teasing the AI here to help me sort of look at this, like my prospect, and help me get a good understanding of what's there. All right, so here we go. Will this save me time? Status mostly handled, but could be stronger. So I hope you can see this. Let me just make this bigger. Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. Mostly handled. Will these posts attract clients? Partially handled. Is the content too generic? Not handled yet. Is this legally risky? Not handled at all. And this is big. Okay. And will this match my brand style? Is it worth $17? How do I know what I'm getting? So now you can see that I could basically kind of make like an FAQ in my description in my listing and answer a lot of these questions. Because, you know, just looking at these, I mean, maybe AI is going to be wrong here and there on, you know, things in your particular niche or your business. But I'm just looking at these and these like totally make sense to me, right? I was writing a listing description there that described the product and I was trying to use some keywords. I wasn't really thinking about all of these objections when I wrote this. So, okay. Now, let's go back over here to our whiteboard and do our final step, all right? Now, the last thing I'm gonna ask it is what readability is my web page, because even though like this may seem dumb and like why aren't we having it rewrite things yet, we're kind of getting there, okay? So let's go back, because there's a few things that relate to making our listing better, especially more appealing, okay? And so we're covering those off. We're gonna handle those objections. The other thing, oh wow, look at that. My listing is reading at about a 10th or 11th grade reading level. So generally speaking, we want to be around 6th or 7th grade. And the reason I say that is not because my readers are dumb or I think like they're not good at reading or something like that. The only reason I say that is because whenever you can present things in like a 6th grade reading level, it's just like so much easier for your prospect to get through all the information. Right? They don't have to, they're not like subconsciously getting stuck on words or sentences or anything like that. So 6th grade reading level just means short sentences, easy to understand. And so, yeah, see, look at that. Use shorter sentences, simpler words, keep ideas concrete, stay adult and professional. All right, so, okay, so now it's saying, oh, it kind of did a rewrite for me. Okay, so there we go. All right, and now all I have to do is just say, don't make anything up. All right, I like to say that just because sometimes, you know, they start making these like fictional characters and all of that. And then the other thing that we asked it was, that first question comes up sometimes is because, especially with websites, sometimes it's not always clear exactly what you're offering, right? So like if you're a mechanic, you know, it may be clear that you're a mechanic, but it's maybe not clear that you specifically work on like certain types of cars or certain years, or, you know, and those things may be like what you were hoping to convey, but they just weren't clear. So, all right, let's just hit go on that. All right, you can see that now we're going to basically make a better listing. Okay, we've identified some gaps that I had that were probably preventing me from getting some sales. Okay, now what we do is we move on to our second step. Our second step is going to helping your web page or your listing or your shop page, whatever, get found better in search results. So in our case, like we're looking at an Etsy listing, now we're going to think about how do we get this found, right? So what is Etsy seeing? What is Google seeing when they look at my listing? Okay. And are we just going to say, help me improve my SEO to the AI? No way. We're going to be smarter than that. Okay. So now we're going to ask, how is my keyword density? These are the keywords I am after. Okay. So I'm going to copy some of this. Let's go back over here to Atlas. So now before we update anything in our listing, we're going to ask these next SEO related questions because that may change how our listing description is going to work as well. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in. How is my keyword density? All right, so I just pasted in some keywords there that I'm basically kind of targeting in Etsy for my listing, right? And if it's not clear what I mean by those keywords, it's just these are the things that when somebody is visiting Etsy and they're looking around for stuff, they may be typing in stuff like reels, they may be typing in social media, maybe they're saying like attorney social media, those kinds of things. So, okay, so let's take a look at what we got here. I don't know why we got 2 responses, but here's a clear, simple breakdown of your density. So, overall keyword optimization score, A- to A. All right, it likes my title. This one's a little more in depth. This response, I don't know why it gave me 2 responses. You know how ChatGPT does that, so you could choose one. I mean, I think the main thing here is, yeah, Reels could use more natural mention. Digital is fine as is. I can do that. So what we can do is have it go forward, but before we do that, let's see what our next thing is. What do you suggest I do to improve this page? Now, we don't have to do this. Like I kind of wrote this here, but you can see that ChatGPT is already jumping to that. So it's already suggesting these improvements. It's already seeing the connection between making our listing more appealing plus the SEO. So we don't have to type this in. I kind of wanted to list this here though, just because I put these frameworks inside my community. And so if you want to be able to watch this later, get access to, this whiteboard, and then get access to like more in-depth training on this stuff, then that stuff's just in my community. You can find a link to that down in the description. That's why I put these things here, just because sometimes we'll be like stepping through this stuff a little more slowly in the community and inside of the other training videos and stuff. So that's why that's there. So that is really going to improve things for us. It's going to make our listing more appealing, and it's going to make our listing just a little bit better from an SEO perspective. Now, you may find on your web page or something like that it's giving quite a few recommendations, and it may be rewriting a lot of stuff. So that's something that in the community I'll go into in a little more depth, is like looking at a web page, or maybe I'll do a different video on that in the future for the channel. That's that. Hey, by the way, my name is Jim Shirley. I really appreciate you guys watching. I've got this community of 12,000 plus wonderful, fantastic people, and I'd love for you to be one of them. So if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. Think about it, and hit that like button if you're liking this so far, because now we're about to get into the third and final step as far as boosting your sales using AI in ChatGPT Atlas. Okay, so we've got our new listing. We can update Etsy, we can update our web page, whatever the case may be. The final step that we're going to do here is we're going to go back to our whiteboard, okay, and we're going to ask for a 90-day marketing plan. Because so often what I see is that people finally cross the finish line and get a product out there on Etsy or something like that, and then they get really discouraged because it's not selling, okay? And the hope was, maybe based on like the YouTube videos you've watched and stuff like that, the hope was that, if I just get my book published on Amazon, or if I just get my listing published on Etsy, the buyers will come to it, right? Like, I know, none of you and myself included, none of us were expecting, when we published our first products and stuff, none of us were expecting to get rich overnight, right? Like we all have imaginations and, you see yourself being really successful, but you're also realistic and hey, I would just be happy with 10 sales or 20 sales or something like that, consistent sales. When nothing happens, it's really discouraging and you think it was because of your product, okay? Usually that's not the case, okay? Usually what's happened is there's just so much digital products out there that yours is living in complete obscurity, just like millions of other products, right? And what I mean by that is nobody knows it exists, all right? So it's so hard to get found on a platform like Etsy or Amazon when there's literally they've probably got 2 million products on Etsy. And there's a lot of competition. So I just don't want you to get discouraged. What I want you to do is follow this step 3 with a 90-day marketing plan, which is basically going to rise your product up out of obscurity and sort of give it some visibility so that you can start getting those first few sales. Like when you see a little restaurant open up on the corner in your town, it's like they don't go anywhere. They don't offer something different. It's like it's the restaurant, it's there. You start seeing their little advertisements in your little local magazine or maybe online. And month after month, they just keep sort of pounding home the exact same message, which is, hey, we sell, a great chicken dinner or whatever the case may be, right? And that's kind of what we need to do with our digital products. We need to take that mentality of hey, this is my thing and I'm going to follow through on this. And it's going to take a while for me to get the traction and visibility to this thing. But once the product's out there, that's my job now, is to promote it, okay? It doesn't mean you can't create other products and stuff like that, but you've got to abandon the mentality of, I created this product, it wasn't successful, I'm done with it, I'm moving on, right? So, get off my soapbox now. Hopefully you're still with me. So we need a 90-day marketing plan. And we're not just going to ask for a simple marketing plan, are we? We've already learned that we don't just ask AI the generic question. We don't say, help me with my SEO. Instead, we make some specific questions, all right? And that's why I create these frameworks to help you get those really good questions to ask. They're gonna help you move the needle, all right? So we could ask for a marketing plan, but let's do better. Let's get some different angles on how to promote this thing, okay? So, boom, I'm gonna copy that. Let's get some different angles on how to promote this listing. Okay, because even though it's on Etsy, we need to help drive traffic to this thing in Etsy. Because if Etsy starts seeing people visiting your store and buying your product and stuff, even just visiting, that's gonna tick some boxes for them, okay? So professional appearance, client education, lead boosting angle. Oh, I like these. Good stuff. Okay, so let's go back to our whiteboard and see what we can get to next. Now, let's tell AI how we want the content to be presented. Okay, so now this is another thing here that I think is super important. So I don't, usually I don't ask AI for anything factual. I like to try to find that stuff. If I want something factual, then I'll give it to it from me instead of asking it to look for it. Anyway, let's get back over here and paste this in. Okay, now I'm just gonna make an edit here. Here is how we want the content. Education, all right, social media. Okay, so there we go, right? Let me just bring you back here, because now that we have some suggestions and it's giving us some of this stuff. And so the next step is going to actually, we're going to have ChatGPT suggest some prompts for us, especially image prompts and stuff like that, because some of this stuff that it's giving us is going to be really good, and we can just put that text on a little image and stuff. Suggest prompts to use. Okay, let's put that in there because we want it to do as much work as possible. And so now what we can do here is we can literally take this. All right, I'm just going to copy this whole thing. I'm just going to show you an example here, right? Let's go over here. I'm going to go into a new window and I'm going to say create image. All right, and I'm just going to paste that in. So that's going to be off and running for us, right? and boom, now we've got our first piece of 90 days, but our first piece of content that we can post to help promote our listing. So now we've got our listing updated. We go in, we kind of make those updates. Now we've got a marketing plan to help surface this thing, and the ball is rolling. Like, we've got action to take, and it's not, hey, this didn't work, let's move on to a different training or a different product. It's like, let's take this all the way to the finish line. Let's just, we want to be able to look back at this thing in 3 or 6 months and say, you know what, I promoted this thing and hey, it started selling, or hey, it didn't sell, right? But the fact is, you won't have to look back and say, what if that would have sold? What if I would have promoted that, right? So there you go. That's everything. That's our whole plan. Like I mentioned, if you want to have like all the detail about this, I'll have it inside my community. There's a link to that down in the description. If you liked this video and got something valuable out of it, which I hope you did, please give it a like. And I'd love to have you as a subscriber to the channel. There's going to be a couple more videos popping up on screen right now for my channel probably. Check those out if you have the time and interest. And hey, listen, if you're looking for a way to sort of like stop being on the conveyor belt and creating new stuff and it not going anywhere, or being in learning mode all the time, and you want to start creating stuff and having action plans like this and help from me and stuff, check out the link in the description. Join the community. Just go check it out. All right. We'll see you in the next video.